Let us get things started. So welcome everyone. My name is Daniel Lipscomb, aka President Vochelli, on the YouTubes and the social medias and whatnot. So today I want to talk to you about, well, the underlying reasons why we play video games. And it's not as simple as you think. You know, you can't just write it off as escapism and just leave it at that. There's actually some very good grounded psychological theory you can post it in. And what that really helps us do is give gaming more credibility compared to movies and books and whatnot. Because, well, we'll just go ahead and find out. But I will also tell you why I am in a position to tell you about this. I mean, not only am I an avid gamer, I'm also very interested in academic gaming. I really want to explore issues surrounding gaming and whatnot. I'm also a research psychologist, so I can go ahead and ground the reasons why we play video games in psychological theory. Now, to begin things, I'd like to ask all of you, why do you think we play video games? Yes? All right, immersion is active participant, immersion, okay. And what else? Challenge, yes. Hold on a second. Active participate. Okay, I can't spell tonight, sorry. All right, anyone else? Yes.
To feel like a badass.
Feel like a BA. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put it under there. All right. Any last ones?
To act out other opportunities you wouldn't choose in real life.
Okay, yes.
Like exploration.
Mm-hmm. So, like an exploration role-playing? Okay, well, we didn't hit upon the third group I was trying to establish here, but there we go. Now we have a picture forming. So yes. So some of the reasons you were able to come up with is that we like to be an active participant in the games we play. We like to have challenge, and we like to connect with other people. That is definitely what I'm going to be arguing today. But before that, I do want to cover the other theories that have been proposed. You know, they're just kind of in the public consciousness or whatnot, such as games just being Skinner boxes. What this means is games are just a system of rewards. You know, the game's dangle a carrot on the stick, whether it's leveling up, new items, or so on and so forth, and that's what keeps you engaged. Yes, that is definitely one reason why we might play video games, but it's also very simplistic. Because, well, as you were already saying, reason can be much more complicated than that. And what behaviors theory is really good at doing is breaking down behavior as, let's see how to explain it, as a series of getting instant gratification. You know, and gratification towards our main body functions like eating, sleeping, intercourse, and so on and so forth. But gaming is not related to any of those. It has imaginary rewards. And how those rewards gain value to us has to get into several mental processes, which behaviorism is just not in a position to explain. Because the whole thing about behaviorism is it wants to do away with the mind altogether. That it's just an input and the outgoing behavior. The other one is escapism, which, yeah, we play games to get away from the difficulties of real life. Again, that can be a very plausible reason, but there's one main reason I don't like it, and that's because it really paints gaming in a very negative light. You know, especially that it basically says gamers can't cope with reality. So they escape into their fantasy world. It's honestly the definition of a maladaptive behavior when you're avoiding the issues in real life. So, not only that, it just doesn't explain the whole picture. So, what we need is a theory that is not only pro-gaming, but is more universally applicable. And what theory does that is self-determination theory, also referred to as SDT. Now, this was a theory proposed by the researchers Ryan and Dacey. I have had quite good experiences with them with writing research articles. And their theory is very well grounded in actual scientific evidence. And what they found is that there's 3 fundamental psychological needs that all people need to fulfill. And that's the need of autonomy, or the desire for choice, independence, and so on. Competence, the need to be effective, being able to master things, feel that you are good at various things. And relatedness, the feeling of connection with other people. Now, I was able to find one article that did support SDT being linked to video games, and it was written by one of the creators of the theory itself, Ryan. And what they found is that video games can satisfy all 3 of these needs, and that furthermore, the more popular games, the games that are bought more, tend to be played more, are games that can better satisfy those needs. However, one caveat is people are differently satisfied. They look, how much their needs are already fulfilled. They're going to be going to video games to seek the ones that are not as fulfilled. Now, I do have to give a shout out to Matt Pat from Game Theory. He did propose this on one of his videos. I think it was the 1 million sub special. But I'm actually grounding it in hard theory here and going into much more depth. But hey, he gave me the idea. So first off, let's talk about autonomy. Again, it's the feeling of volition or choice and independence. Now, games are amazing at giving you choice, because you literally control a character or aspects of the world, that you have direct influence over the gaming world. And for BioShock Infinite, yes, that's a very watered down choice system, but it's sufficient for this. And that article I cited before, what they found is games that give more autonomy are games that are also more enjoyable, have better presence, like the people are much more immersed in the game, and that people tend to play them for longer. Now, autonomy can vary quite a bit in games, such as games that don't give you much choice or independence, such as like Dear Esther, where you literally just walk around the world while a story is told to you, or the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney series, where you're mostly just tunneled through a story and you make choices, or you have to make key decisions every now and then, but the story remains the same. But you also have games that give you a great amount of autonomy, such as Skyrim, where you can choose your quests, how your character looks, what they're equipped with, or Minecraft, where you literally can build the entire world. Now, while I do want to paint gaming in a positive light, I do also have to give precautions. Because whenever anything gratifies one of our needs, or is experienced as pleasurable, it does have a risk of being habit forming, or you can use it maladaptively. With autonomy, when people feel that they have no choice or influence on the world, they might be in a dead-end job, they don't know how to get out of it, how to move forward in their lives, they might turn to video games to fulfill that need, and therefore turning their back on real life, aka escapism. As I said, escapism is definitely a legitimate theory, but it really only captures the more negative side of gaming. Next up, we'll talk about competence, which again is just the feeling of being effective or being able to master new skills. Now, games also amazing at providing feelings of competence. They give you challenges that you have to overcome. They scale up, so you overcome even more difficult challenges as the game progresses, and they also give you feedback about how you're doing. And what's even better, you have, well, in most games you have unlimited tries, or the penalty of death or failing is not that big of a deal. You can go ahead and try again until you master it. Now, again, in that article I cited, more competence was found to lead to better enjoyment, more continued play with the game even after the trial ended, and a higher player well-being. So, games, they don't really differ in giving you in-game goals to fulfill, because that's kind of how a game is basically structured. However, the way in which they allow you to build up competence definitely varies. Such as in the difficulty of the game, it could just be a nice little casual snooze fest, like Kirby's Epic Yarn, or something where death and failure is guaranteed, like Battletoads. By the way, I beat that level. I beat it. I have a photographic evidence, if anyone wants to see it afterwards. They also differ in the complexity of the game mechanics. Like with Pong, it's very easy to master the controls and all the game mechanics. Whereas with a game like Street Fighter, I'm not a literate fighting game fan, so you have like your combos, your supers, your ultras, your guard breaks, your lots of different layers you have to master before you can call yourself competent at the game. Also, the type of goals that the game offers also differs. And this is, this is divided between Boolean goals, which are basically stated goals. The game tells you, this is the win condition, this is what you should do. When you do this, hey, you've done good. You've done good. So, yeah, it tells a winner is you when you've overcome a level, or hey, now with achievements, it tells you when you've, met in-game goals. The other one is non-Boolean, which are implied goals. For example, high scores in games. The game does not directly tell you high scores are better. It's something that's socially constructed between players. Such as getting a high score in Donkey Kong. If anyone has ever seen The King of Kong, that's a big deal. Billy Mitchell, that guy. Okay, you also have games like Minecraft where the game doesn't explicitly tell you how, well, it can tell you how to build things, but not exactly what to build. That's up to you. And, it's generally agreed upon, the more elaborate structures you make, the better looking. The better you met the in-game goal of constructing things. And finally, games differ in how much feedback they give you. You could have games like, no one has probably heard of this, but Knock Knock, where it's like a horror-esque game where it doesn't tell you what exactly you need to do. You just get little snippets, and through trial and error, you eventually learn what's going on. But it doesn't tell you exactly what to do, so you're left in this state of confusion. Or you could have games like Halo, which when you have a multiplayer match, they will give you broken down statistics of exactly how well you did with kill-death ratios, accuracy, and so on and so forth. Now, as with autonomy, there's a dark side to games fulfilling competence. One of which is when you have those, the players, the ones that will just curse you out, troll you online, just those people who, part of the reason they may do that is they really they really rely on the games to make themselves feel confident. That's their only source of self-esteem, and the way they maintain that is to degrade other players and to make them quit before the trollish player is even challenged. Now, also, when you are good at a game, but you're not really good with real life skills, that you're kind of, maybe you're just not fast enough on the uptake or something, that you could favor those gaming skills over real life skills. Like the perfect example is a kid who they're not doing well in school, but they happen to be awesome at this video game, so they just ignore their homework in order to get their competence from the game. Now finally, we'll talk about relatedness. which again is just being socially connected to other people, having meaningful relationships. And games are also great at providing this. Of course, the most obvious way is through competitive and co-op multiplayer. You're directly interacting with people in the game. However, I would also argue that you can develop connections with characters in the game. If you just have this great game with a well-developed character, you come to feel for them. You want to know more about them. You want them to succeed. And finally, gaming communities like this convention right here. Where you can build communities around the game, get to know people who play the game, do the same stuff as you do, have the same interests, and so on. And again, with that article, it was found that more relatedness in games was related to more enjoyment and more playtime. Now, relatedness definitely varies in games. You can have games that you just feel isolated the whole time. You're like the only friendly person there, and you don't encounter anyone else. The games I presented are not perfect examples of that, but still, they do present a isolated atmosphere where actually meeting another person is a reward in and of itself, because you're just left on your own throughout the entire game. So, you have Silent Hill, where you're just traversing the town, always being attacked by monsters. A friendly face is such a rare sight. And Journey, where you travel through the desert alone. You could also have games with high relatedness, of course games with multiplayer components like Halo, or games with very strong NPCs like Persona 4. And of course, the dark side of relatedness is when games become the primary form of relationships, such as with dating sims. Good, the censor worked. Yes, I would like to give a shout out to another YouTuber, also another game theorist like MatPat, Gaijin Goomba, who did an excellent video on how dating sims are in Japan. And basically, in a society where the focus is on work and excelling, connecting with other people is a rarity, especially people of the opposite gender, or however romantically attracted you are. Whether you're homosexual or heterosexual, there we go. Let's just keep it simple here. So then they turn to virtual forms of human relationship, where there's much less pressure, it's on their own time, and it happens to fulfill that need while they're working. Dating sims is a very complex issue, so again, go and check out Gaijin Goomba's video on it. Next off, we have MMOs, where you're literally surrounded by hundreds or even thousands of players at one time. And if your real world relationships aren't working, you might just have trouble making friends, but in the virtual world, you're able to do it because, well, not only do you have I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word, but anonymity. There we go. Anonymity. I can't speak. I can't spell. Oh my goodness. Anonymity and actual real world skills and people who have the same interests as you do. But again, you can neglect actual real world relationships in favor of those. Come on. There we go. So, while I'm talking about the variability in games of all three of these needs being met, you may have noticed, hey, what about those games that are low in fulfilling our needs for autonomy, relatedness, and competence? Why do we play games that seem to even undermine these SDT needs? Such as games where you're only an observer or you're helpless in the world presented to you. Or games where the tasks they present to you are impossible or invalidating. The Stanley Parable, again, not a perfect example, but it does literally have one segment where you can't win. And then those games that are where you just feel isolated. If the games don't actually fulfill those three psychological needs, why do we play them? Well, I have two possible explanations. The first is aesthetic needs, which is a concept developed by Abraham Maslow. If you've ever taken a psychology course, he was the guy who made the hierarchy of needs, where you have to fulfill your food, safety, relationships, etc., etc. So what this is, it's an extra self-actualization need, or a need for you to fulfill your inner potential. Find out who you really are. And the way aesthetic needs work is you want to try to find yourself out by observing beauty or aesthetics. Viewing paintings, works of art, hearing music, or just experiencing things. Whatever you happen to find beautiful, as long as you can reflect upon it and then come to discover yourself, think on it, etc., etc. So what I think is, by experiencing the dark and unpleasant through video games, but in a safe manner, that helps us identify things like fears, frustrations, similar experiences, etc. And gets us to ponder upon those issues and find out where we stand, how they relate to us. I think this is also the reason why a lot of work in other mediums, like literature, movies. You know how it seems all those darker movies tend to be more critically praised? I think that's why. They happen to fill aesthetic needs. They get people to reflect and think. So, in other words, playing those games that undermine SDT needs, they get us to explore ourselves. Like, for example, what's a game that you think does that? Let's see, Resident Evil, yes, putting yourself in a scary, terrifying situation, an isolated situation. Oh, and also if the tank-like controls limited ammo, it's very hard to feel competent in that game too. But hey, you're putting yourself in a different situation to see how you'd react, and you reflect upon your experience with that. Anyone else? Okay, no problem. Now, the other theory I have is that when we undermine our self-determination needs, through these negative experiences, experiences that do not fulfill our needs, it might reset our hedonic treadmill, which is the tendency for happiness, pleasure, and so on to stabilize over time. Now, this is a very well-researched phenomenon where, for example, people who win the lottery, they might be very happy at first, but over time, their amount of happiness will not differ whatsoever from people who have not won the lottery or people who are even in poverty. I mean, there's definitely limits to that, but that just tends to be the trend. So I think that SDT needs may similarly plateau. So, for example, when you play a game to fulfill one of these needs, you feel it rising, you feel fulfillment, but eventually you kind of cap off, and you can't feel it increase anymore. And I think it's that increase that we experience as pleasure or gratification. So, if we play games that compromise those needs, it may reset our levels of their needs so they can rise again. Or in other words, we can experience them rise again. All right, and actually that went much faster than expected. Wow. So thank you very much for listening to me ramble on about this. And do you have any questions? Yes?
Did you play Journey online?
Let's see, the question was, did I play Journey online? I'll just repeat your questions into the microphone, so my viewers online can also know what you ask. So no, I have not, and I have not played Journey at all, but let's see. What do you think being able to meet another people in Journey, what do you think that does?
You kept saying that Journey was one of the most isolating games that you experienced, but in my experience, when I played it online connected, you had this random stranger that you met in the middle of the desert. Because you two were the only people in this world that you could see that you could interact with, that made the bond to the other player that much stronger. So in my view, Journey would be an example of one of the strongest games that are able to do.
Okay, yes, I've definitely seen that point, and that's why I said it was an imperfect example. But it also does that through contrasting joining up with another player with the otherwise isolation you experience in that desert. So again, talking about resetting the hedonic treadmill, that isolation that you experience in the game at first is then very much gratified when you meet another person. All right, anyone else? Yes?
Can dark, isolated games be empowering? For example, say, Resident Evil or games that have Dead Space. Games where it's you by yourself versus first side of the picture. If you play against other, if you're playing those kind of games and you come out and survive. Even though I guess the main objective of Resident Evil is kind of like, in a way, it's meant to be, instead of something to kind of show face to your fears, the same kind of can be empowering, overcome it, or face it.
Oh yes, definitely. Let's see. A question was, can dark games or the like Resident Evil and so on, can they be empowering? Well, yes, they definitely can. And again, I think it was similar to the last person's comment that when you're put up against such odds, the fact when you overcome them, it feels all the more gratifying to things like competence, when you're able to overcome those challenges. But that's because they put you in a very difficult situation at the start. Let's see, did that answer your question? Okay. Anyone else? All right, that's perfectly fine. Well, again, thank you for joining me with the panel, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the convention. Yeah, if you want to talk with me about anything, yeah, just go ahead and stay behind. We'll chat.